SABC News correspondent Blake Sifton joins us live from Tel Aviv in Israel with the latest update on how these news have been received there. So Blake, a very good afternoon. How have the news been received by the Israeli leadership at this stage? What is their current reaction on the ground? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We've heard reaction from Israel's foreign ministry just in the last half hour. They have said that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar decided, following South Africa's false attacks against Israel in the international arena and the unilateral baseless step taken against the charge d'affaires of Israel in South Africa, that South Africa's senior diplomatic representative, Minister Sean Edward Bindveld, is persona non grata and must leave Israel within 72 hours. They also said that additional steps will be considered in due course. Now, this diplomatic representative is not South Africa's ambassador to Israel. That's because South Africa recalled their ambassador to Israel in November 2023 over Israel's conduct in the war in Gaza. This diplomatic representative who's being made persona non grata by Israel is actually South Africa's representative to the state of Palestine. But because, of course, Israel controls the borders of the West Bank and controls visas, they do have the power, the ability to expel foreign diplomatic representatives to the Palestinians.
Very interesting turn of events indeed. Well, Blake, we understand that Pretoria has actually urged the Israeli government to ensure its future diplomatic conduct actually demonstrates respect for the Republic and respect international law. The reality, Blake, is that, as stated by DECO, they have raised their concerns with the relevant authorities to no avail, and current relations with Israel are pretty volatile since, of course, our stance at the ICJ. So this certainly will further complicate relations going forward.
That's right. Of course, tensions have been very high, as you know, between Israel and South Africa since the war in Gaza began over Israel's conduct in the war in Gaza. Of course, South Africa brought that case of genocide against Israel at the International Court of Justice in December 2023. That case is still making its way through the court. It is worth noting, of course, that in the years since that, other organizations, including a UN panel of inquiry, as well as Israeli human rights organizations like B'Tselem, have also now accused the Israeli government of committing genocide in Gaza. And just yesterday, the Israeli military acknowledged for the first time that some 70,000 people in Gaza have been killed in the war. That is very close to the 71,000 people that the health authorities in Gaza say have been killed. And throughout the war, we need to remember that Israeli authorities have been casting doubt, have been saying that the numbers of what they called the Hamas-run health authority in Gaza, that their numbers of deaths were not reliable. But now, for the first time yesterday, the Israeli military has acknowledged that 70,000 people have been killed in Gaza.
Any reaction from the United States pertaining to these developments at this stage, Blake? And Israel at this stage, are they willing to engage with Pretoria and try and reset these diplomatic relations? What is the general sentiment from the leadership? Because if we look back at these relations, I mean, stemming as far back as 1947, where South Africa had voted in favor of the UN partition plan that actually led to the creation of the state of Israel. So there's quite a lot of stake if, of course, these relations sour beyond these tensions.
It does certainly seem that this is just a further degeneration of relations between South Africa and Israel. In November 2023, a month after the war in Gaza began, both South Africa and Israel recalled their ambassadors to each other's countries. That's why this is a charge d'affaires being made persona non grata from South Africa. And as I mentioned, the representative to the Palestinians being made persona non grata by Israel. So it does seem that this is just a further degradation of relations. When it comes to the United States, we haven't heard specifically from them yet on these steps. But when it comes to pressure on Israel, we also should remember that Israel has been under immense pressure by the United States government in recent weeks to abide by their obligations under the first phase, really, of the ceasefire agreement in Gaza, which includes the provision of aid human rights organizations have said not enough aid is still entering Gaza, not enough food, not enough medicine, and especially not enough shelter supplies that Gazans need during these cold winter storms that are causing substantial flooding in Gaza, not enough tents, not enough tarps. And of course, Israel has also been under significant pressure to reopen the Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt, which is a major lifeline for Gaza. It used to be a major conduit of aid. It's the only way Palestinians can re-enter Gaza. And we have heard as well, just in the last few hours, that the Israeli government has now decided, under that U.S. pressure, they have decided to reopen Rafah to pedestrian traffic from Sunday.
A very quick one, Blake. I mean, is the Israeli camp planning to replace Seidman here in South Africa? Are they willing at least to send a different delegate to fulfill his position?
Pardon me, I didn't hear you very well. I believe the question was, will Israel send a different delegate, a different representative to South Africa to replace this chargé? That remains unclear. At this stage, this is all quite initial, quite preliminary. Israel did say in that statement that they would consider additional measures, so I think we'll have to wait and see what the next steps are following this tit-for-tat diplomatic expulsion today.
Thank you so much for that very comprehensive update there with SABC News correspondent Blake Sifton. And of course, he was joining us live from Tel Aviv with reaction, of course, from Israel after DECO had declared Arieil Seidman a persona non grata, giving him 72 hours to leave South Africa. In breaking news, as we've just heard from Blake, is that the Israeli government has decided, in fact, Mr. Netanyahu has decided to make a counter move and, of course, expel Sean Edward Blainfeld, who is, of course, the representative, the South African representative to Palestine. So quite a lot of reaction is, of course, to ensue arising from that. And at this stage, we do understand there is no talks around replacing the current or the expelled, of course, Mr. Seidman.